There's a young man who back in the 1990s, the late 1990s, committed armed robberies. He didn't shoot anybody. No one was injured. Nobody was taped up.
Non-violent.
It was violent because it was armed robbery.
Okay.
But you're right. It wasn't like what we saw yesterday.
Right.
No one was physically hurt. He did it in different counties over the course of 36 hours. He pled to armed robbery in the 14th Circuit down in Allendale, which was a mistake. His lawyer did him wrong. He should never have pled him to that. He should have tried to plead him to all the charges at the same time. But the defendant got 10 years back in around 1998 in Allendale. He then comes to Orangeburg, and his attorney says, hey, he's pled guilty in Allendale. He's ready to get a 10-year sentence here in Orangeburg too. We let him to plead to 10. The solicitor said no. He said, well, it's a confession case. He's admitted to doing it. He's 19 years old. We let him just plead straight up 10 to 30 years, and we'll leave the sentence. No. They served him with life without parole.
Wow.
And he was sentenced to life without parole. He has had an immaculate, perfect prison record for over 25 years.
So he's 35 years old now. Is that it? How old is
He's
he?
25 plus 19 at least, so he's in his 40s.
40s, yes.
He's not a young man anymore.
Sure.
And that was an unjust sentence.
And so you and the NAACP combined are working to
try to get this young man released, because I'm going to tell you, in South Carolina, we've seen this. We've seen corrupt, or at the very least selfish, lawmakers try to use the system under darkness, in secret, rigging the system to get people out of prison that don't deserve to be let out of prison, like murderers.
Where you, on the other hand, are looking into those issues and those cases that were unjustly tried or unjustly prosecuted or sentenced.
This is an unjust sentence. He should not be in prison for life. I hope that he doesn't mind me mentioning, but even the Department of Corrections director agrees with me he should be out of prison. I believe that the main cause for this injustice is because of the actions of the First Circuit Solicitor's Office back in 1997. And I believe it is my duty as a solicitor for this office to fix it. I'm here. It's one of the best days I've had in 30 years of being a prosecutor. I told Pete, I said, I've put notorious spree killers, sociopaths on death row. I put a lot of people away for life without parole. But I never got joy in that. Today is joy. Today's one of the most joyous days I've ever had.
Hugs and kisses from my family, man. Hugs and kisses from my family.
And we got them for you too. This was one of the biggest injustices I've ever seen, and I'm glad Judge Goodstein agreed with me. He should never have been served with life without parole.
After doing 27 years and going in as a young man, what advice do you have for other young people who may find themselves in similar circumstances? Or what advice have you given other people that are incarcerated when you were there?
It's not worth it. You got your whole life ahead of you. The decisions you make today will not only affect you, it'll affect your family, your community. And you better think before you act. Take time, just chill. Take a time out, gain perspective. Prioritize what's important to you. That's the best advice that I can give.
As you may or may not know, current society, there's a lot of young people engaged and involved in criminal activities. Do you see yourself playing any role in society once you're released to help some of those young people not make those kind of mistakes?
Well, I had a conversation with Officer Stokes, and we talked about that sometime, and I wouldn't be opposed to coming and speaking to individuals who are out there or in school to help them try to make the right decisions in life. Yeah, I would be more than willing to help out. The only anger that I had was towards myself for putting myself in that type of predicament. Had I not chose to do what I did, I would not have been in these circumstances. So that's where my anger lied at. I was angry with myself, and once I became to accept responsibility for my actions, I was able to see things a whole lot clearer. I would say, yeah, it was peer pressure. It was a combination of peer pressure, just us just being bad, bored, nothing to do. You know, they say an idle mind is the devil's playground. If you don't fill it with anything positive, negativity is going to seep in. And I think that's exactly where we was at. We didn't have a lot of positive influences in our life, and we was just left up to our own devices, and we chose to do wrong. Now, I thank Ms. Williams with all my heart. If it wasn't for her initiating the process, I probably would still be trying to fight the courts by myself. And she came through the clutch. You know about the clutch shooter, she was my clutch shooter. She came through for me, and I greatly appreciate her, and I'm always at her disposal. If she need me for anything, I'm there.
Well, I guess what she may need you for is to speak to other young people.
I'm there.
Yeah. What do you say about Operation Pride?
Operation Pride, Dr. James, man, he is very instrumental in my development, gave me a different perspective of life. Not only him, but Chaplain Barbara as well. She's no longer with SEDC, but she has always pushed me into a position where I can excel. And so shout out to Chaplain Barbara as well. Dr. James, very instrumental. I wish he was here today because this is as much of his day as it is mine. I got degrees in I got culinary degrees that I earned while I was at the institution. I can bake. I like to cook soul food with a twist. So I might just be on the lookout for that.
Justice was done. I want to thank a bunch of people. You mentioned the first one, Barbara Williams. She's been fighting this fight long before I got involved. She just came to me as the last ditch effort of, hey, solicitor, help us find something to do for this young man. I looked into it because of her. You know, Chris Kinney, Phil Barber, all those witnesses and people you saw today.
I saw the current sheriff was here.
The Sheriff Leroy Ravenel, thank you so much. When I told him about this case weeks ago, he said, Solicitor, I need to join you on this one. This was an Orangeburg County case. This man should be out of prison. So he joined us in this motion. And how about Mrs. Owens? Y'all watched her testify? That's why I wanted to stop after she testified. She was absolutely incredible.
That was the victim.
That was the victim, Mrs. Owens. And so many other people that were in the courtroom today and in this community. Let me tell you, you've had a whole community backing you up on this one. From Dorchester, Orangeburg, Calhoun, even Columbia. Everywhere I've gone, they asked me about you for the last couple of months now. Everybody was, I don't think you've got one person out there that was pulling against you.
Right.
The judge also made indication that these type of injustices have been going on for some time in the state of South Carolina. You pointed out that if you would be the first one to raise your hand to identify those kinds of situations, to be of some assistance to other people
Yes,
that are in
sir.
similar circumstances.
As I said, if there are injustices out there, let the floods begin. I don't believe that there will be an opening of the floodgates because I don't know that there is any injustice like this. But for those that are in prison, and if I find out about them, I'm going to speak up. I don't care if it's in Orangeburg or Greenville. I'm going to speak up and do everything I can to make sure justice is done.